Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode, and I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Shannon Houchin, and she's founder of Roadside Republic, and she's got a fascinating story about flipping items, particularly peaches and different things, but this can be easily applied to all different sorts of endeavors, and she's made a full-time company and business out of it, and I'm very fascinated with people that are just doing different things and things outside the box. So happy to welcome Shannon to the show. Welcome, Shannon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, like I said, I love this the PBS TV show. I think it was called Flip This, where they basically go into antique and then they just do things and increase value and then make a couple $100. And if you do this like at scale, you can do very well for yourself. So talk about your journey, how you started, and we'll get dive right into it.
Yeah, so back in 2013, I was going through a life transition and I decided I wanted to do something different. I had been in software and marketing, and I was actually also a copywriter. And so I wanted to be outside, I wanted to do something with my hands, and I wanted to spend the summer with my 11-year-old son. So a friend of mine had been talking to me for quite a while about selling peaches from a roadside peach stand. And I had just kind of blown it off for a number of years, but then finally I had some time. So I said, okay, let's see what this is all about. So I went down to South Carolina with my son, who was 11 at the time, and we spent the summer learning the peach business. So everything from how an orchard works and how peaches are harvested and all the different varietals, all the way up to setting up roadside, like essentially farm stands where we sold peaches. So, initially, the way we flip peaches and the best way is to buy directly from the orchard itself. So you get better than a wholesale price. But sometimes that's not possible depending on where we are. So then as a reseller, and that's me, I will buy from other brokers or wholesalers, or most ideally from the orchard itself. And we buy by the pallet. So fruit in the US comes in what it's called a peck. The quantity is a peck. And so you will get a peck or a bushel, and we will get half a bushel in a 25-pound box. And so 70 25-pound boxes fit on a pallet, and that's how they're shipped across the US. So we will buy pallets at a time. And we don't refrigerate them because that aborts the sweetening and the ripening process. So we have to flip those peaches within 4 days of acquisition, because since we don't refrigerate them, they'll get really ripe and then they start to over ripen. So we've got a 4-day period, a 4-day window where we will flip the peaches. And so I set up back in 2013, I started setting up roadside farm stands or peach stands and selling the peaches directly from those stands. And here we are 10 years later, and I'm still doing the same thing. But we've expanded our business model. So we're a little more sophisticated now. We still do the roadside stands, but we also do pop-up shops. So we will be part of other farmers markets. We will go into neighborhoods and do a neighborhood pop-up where we have a little mini farmers market. We will be part of festivals and fairs. We will do traveling shopping pop-ups. They may go from city to city. We'll do some of those all within the DFW area. And so selling peaches is akin to taking money out of an ATM machine. That's what I say. Because you buy that 25-pound case, that half bushel of peaches, and you can flip it easily for 3 times what you pay for it. And so the upside is tremendous. But you have to do a little work with that. It's about the customer experience. And at the end of the day, of course, it's about how delicious the peach is, but it's about the experience that you provide to the customer while you're flipping that peach. So we will sell, peach by peach. Sometimes we sell by the bulk as a broker. We will sell pallets, or we'll set up a fair or a festival, or we'll do fundraising. We'll work with nonprofits in order to flip peaches and help them fundraise for their organization. So that's in a nutshell kind of how it works. And I got started, like I said, back in 2013, learning the business direct from the orchard in South Carolina. And here I am still selling peaches in the season. So we do all of this in a very short window of time. Um, Peach season starts around Labor Day and it basically ends it starts on Memorial Day in May and then it ends roughly Labor Day around September. Now, if we follow the season west, across the US, sometimes we can get into October with peaches that are coming out of Idaho and Colorado, because they have very late peach seasons. And if the weather's good, they'll be harvesting all the way into October. So you can extend your season May to October if you want and just make an enormous amount of money.
Like this is why I love talking. This is why I love my podcast because I can bring on guests that have just such a very unique and diverse perspective, and they're creating these businesses that are very vibrant and healthy. And I have so many questions because it just my first question is why peaches? Because I mean, it's very akin, like people flip real estate, people flip stocks, people flip books, different things. Why peaches? What is the appeal there?
It is the one product I've found that makes people inherently happy. So consumers are already primed for the transaction. There's very little that I have to do to incentivize them or convince them to buy a just picked peach. And when I sell peaches from a roadside farm stand, there is this cultural memory in the US. People are in love with local farms, orchards, farm stands. And so, roughly 80% of our business is impulse stops because we have, these iconic white farm stand tents, which everyone recognizes. And then we'll have banners and flags, that just say ripe peaches, and it'll have an image of a peach. Well, that is ingrained in the cultural memory of Americans. And when they see that, they're primed. Here they go. They'll put on the brakes, they'll come back around, they'll stop at our stand, and they're happy when they get out of their car. And so all of that primes the consumer for the experience. And as long as I can deliver on the experience and the product, I can charge whatever I want. It is a premium product. That's kind of what we call it in the business. You can sell tomatoes and cucumbers, but you're not going to make a ton of money selling that stuff. If you have a premium product like peaches, you can charge what it's worth and consumers will pay for it. Now, the reason this happens is not just because of this cultural memory in this iconic status of peaches in the US, but it's because consumers now have a long history of buying unripe and non-sweet peaches in the grocery store. So people will shy away from that transaction because they don't know how to tell if a peach is ripe. They don't know how to tell if it's going to be sweet. They don't know where it came from. They don't know how long it's been in cold storage. And so they're very hesitant to take a risk on peaches in a grocery store. But at a farm stand, they walk into the tent and they can immediately smell them. I mean, that's already a whole different world. You can smell the peach and you can touch how soft and ripe it is. And so that totally different experience from the grocery store. The consumer is like, okay, I need to have this. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to get it because they know it's going to be good. So people are just primed to be happy and they're primed to spend money. And so for that reason, I chose peaches as opposed to any other kind of, farm product, agricultural product. There are other things that will serve and support a transaction like cantaloupe and watermelon and, honey, locally harvested honey. But peaches are where it's at.
I'm kind of moving on, and it's really interesting because I make this road trip from Houston to Dallas, a couple times a year. And there's this place it's called Peachtree Farms, and it's like a gas station, and they actually do like homemade ice cream and homemade pecan pies and all of this. And it actually, there's actually lines
Yes.
out the door. There's no parking space, and then next door is this Exxon and a Buxy's. Nobody's there. They're all at this local farm gas station. It's incredible. So it really answers my question. Is this kind of like this nostalgic, culturally primed
Yes.
item?
And there's only a couple other things that I know that people are like culturally primed for with happiness. I mean, babies are one, dogs are another, ice cream, clouds, blue sky. So there are these things that are in the American memory that just inherently make people happy. So if you can capitalize on any of those types of products or experiences, the sky's the limit on income or revenue.
Yeah, and like I said, because I'm really interested in how, because you sounds like you understood this asset that you learned how to market and sell, and I'm really interested in sounds like you understood the whole process from all the way from acquisition to distribution, how to source it, and then how to market it, and we'll talk a little bit about the risk, like the competition, a little bit later. But for example, what is in terms of the highest margin and the greatest sale? Can you grow your own peaches? Is it better to buy it like wholesale from a supplier or distributor? And is it better to have your own stand versus like get it into stores and to other things? I'm just curious. I'm just for my own, how do you scale
Yes.
this business?
Yes. So somebody like me, I do not have a green thumb. I don't have the patience or the skill or the talent. I wish I did, but I can sell some stuff. So my perfect niche is going to be as a reseller. Now, I greatly admire all of the families. Most of the peach orchards in the US are still family run. They're still family operations. And they're like second, third, sometimes fourth generation farms. And so those guys have really taken a blueprint and just, created this master plan on, how to distribute and make a ton of money off peaches. So ideally, if you have that talent and that lead time, yeah, grow a peach orchard. But as a reseller, what I love about the opportunity is you can jump in and it's so low risk. And for the last decade, I've been teaching people one-on-one, like face-to-face, how to sell peaches. And what I love about it, it's such low risk. So say, and I work with a lot of students, a lot of high school students, a lot of college students. And I tell the students, if you've got $200, we are going to get you in profit, $1,500 profit by the end of the week off your $200 investment, so that then you can expand your business and go big for the summer. So students will take their $200, that's what they'll buy their inventory and peaches for that day. All they need at that point is a location, a real busy, street corner, with the permission of the landlord, of course, and a table and maybe a handwritten sign that's peaches. And all they have to do is sell that $200 worth of inventory, and then they just roll it into the next day's purchase. So the next day, they're going to buy $600 worth of peaches, for example. And then through that snowball effect, by the end of the week, they're massively in profit. And now they can buy their tent, they can buy all of their supplies, materials, they can have signs printed, banners, whatever they want to do, to then go big. And so by the end of the week, now they're buying, so maybe $1,000 worth of peach inventory, right? So you can just snowball your way to high profitability off as little investment as $200. So that's one of the great things about being a reseller. And if you can buy directly from the orchard, that's preferable. Here in DFW, I do it all three ways. I have orchards I can work with directly, and that's the best case. I have wholesalers who I work with, because some of the orchards, in order to capitalize on their return, they will sell their entire harvest to a broker, right? And so I can't get in with that orchard because their whole harvest is already committed. So now I just go through a broker, I'll go through the wholesaler and buy peaches because I love that orchard and that's the only place I can get those peaches. So I'll do it that way: wholesaler, broker, and orchard. And then as the reseller, it's so easy to make, triple your money, triple your investment off of a case of peaches, for example. So reselling, I think, that is the lowest obstacle to entry, is from that perspective, because you can be in profit pretty much the same day you start.
Fascinating. And one thing that comes to my mind, because what I used to do was I used to scour like places for like free books or just kind of people giving away books, and then I would basically relist it for sale, either could be Craigslist or email list, or like we had student lists and people were in the market for med student books, and I could churn a good profit. And then but there was like always competition for these books. Like, people would line up, or like you would have to get there early, and just people kind of like this hoarding mentality. People would like shove and push, and it's kind of ridiculous. But do you see that same thing with acquisition of peaches, or is it just totally abundant?
It's sad, but then it's fabulous at the same time. So what's happened with most of the independent family-run farms in the US is because of the uncertainty of number one, weather in harvest. Are you going to, peaches are precarious because, freezes, hail, tornadoes, whatever can do such damage to the crop. And so it's a little bit precarious being an orchard, right, owner, because you are at the mercy of the weather. So that has incentivized a lot of orchards, like I said, to sell their entire harvest to a broker or a wholesaler. And then so resellers like me will work with the broker and the wholesaler. So what's happened across the country in a lot of places is that all of these farmers markets that have popped up and are popping up like crazy all over the US, it is really rare for the independent farms to show up at those farmers markets anymore, because they've already sold their harvest. They don't have any reason to be there anymore. And so resellers like me come in. I'm the only one selling produce at a farmer's market. It's still called a farmer's market, but I am one of maybe two people, tops, at say a 50 tent farmer's market that is actually selling produce. And most people now they're artisans, right? And they're resellers. So they're there selling baked goods, custom dog treats. They're selling baby clothes. They're selling succulents and potted plants and, handmade goods, soap, just all kinds, cookies, whatever. And then there's me selling produce at a farmer's market. So the opportunity for this type of pop-up shop business is amazing. Like, there is no competition anymore. There just isn't. If you want peaches as a consumer, you now have to go to the orchard pretty much. Or you deal with a reseller like me who brings the peaches from the orchard to your neighborhood. So that type of opportunity is wide open. Like, nobody knows about this because most people think that farm stands are dead, right? It's a dead business. Nobody's doing it anymore, but hello. Yeah, there are people like me still doing it. And it all you have to say is, hello, peach stand ATM business. This is how much cash I want to make this summer. And then you put it in our business blueprint and out spits, okay, this is exactly what you need to do. This is how many stands you need to have. This is how many peaches you need to sell. This is the number of days you need to work to achieve it. And abracadabra, there it is.
Interesting, because I was asking what any potential for the market to become saturated. It's kind of like, in one thing it kind of reminds me is this uncharted land, and it's kind of like when you have this type of supply and demand, sometimes you have manias. Like, for example, if you bought $2,000 worth of peaches and didn't sell it, you're out 2K, right? So would you see this happen? Or, like, for example, you said, one or two people selling produce at farmers market. What happens if, like, people learn about this and all of a sudden you have 10, and then 20? It reminds me of like when the Asian food, it was like, first it was Vietnamese sandwich, then it was ramen, then it was tapioca, and then it was like, foot massage and all these different things. And basically the market became very saturated. So do you see that with this type of business?
agriculture is still very relationship based. And so, there aren't that many peach orchards in the US, and have worked with most of them. All of the peach orchards in Texas, for example, I know them and I have worked with them. So that's very relationship based. And so once I have those relationships, those orchards know, those families know every summer I have a commitment of X tons of peaches that I'm buying. And so I have that relationship and they can guarantee it for me rather than, three little guys coming in behind me to acquire that inventory. So it is relationship based, but there's still so much. I just can't stress how much opportunity there is. There's some big players in the field of peach delivery. For example, the peach truck is probably the biggest, and most people who enjoy peaches will know them. And they're based out of Nashville, and they're a reseller too. They're not a grower, they're not a producer. They just acquire peaches from Georgia and South Carolina. And then they have 18-wheelers who do peach truck tours. And so they will come across the US delivering peaches to people. So they're probably the biggest player in the peach field, if you will.
Really interesting. And my kind of follow-up question is for people that are interested in this, like, can you run a peach business from your home? You not need to go like to farmers markets and sell. Can you outsource this? How much travel, for people that don't want to, that are thinking about terms of scalability and their time and kind of being business owners as opposed to operators?
Right. So, firstly, what I love about the peach business, it is extremely scalable. So you can, as somebody who wants to get into the business, again, such low risk, in your business blueprint, you can say, well, I only have weekends. I only want to work weekends doing this. So you can select perhaps some pop-up shop markets that you want to do. Spend 10 hours max on a weekend, doing this business, and you can still make really, really good income. Or you can run what we call semi-permanent locations. So we will set up tents on, around May 31st, and then we'll take them down on Labor Day. And those tents, once they go up, they stay up all season. And so we will sell peaches out of those 7 days a week, but you can do weekends also. So as a reseller, this business can fit your schedule. But if you don't want to go out, right, and do the markets, do your own peach stands, you can do delivery service. So last year, for the very first year, we kicked off online ordering, online sales. And then we had a little fleet of college students who would run around and do all our deliveries for us. So customers were getting online, and we have minimum quantities that they have to order, which is like $65, I think. And then we pack the orders up, and then they're delivered the next day. So the college students come in, they take their pick tickets, so they know what their orders are for that day. They'll pack up the order, and then they go on their delivery route and deliver peaches for that day. So that's another opportunity you can do independent of the peach stands or in addition. We do them both.
Really fascinating. And I wish we had more time because I really love to pick your brain and I love talking to entrepreneurs. But if people are interested in finding more about you, how can they do so?
Yep, you can go to our website, which is www.roadsiderepublic.com. From there, you can find all of our socials. We run a TikTok channel where we do a lot of free content. It's kind of like educational content, a day in the life, behind the scenes. This is how we do things. So our TikTok channel is really good for that. And then, of course, we're on everything else, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. But roadsiderepublic.com. And we do also offer an evergreen course. So if people are super interested in this and want to get started, they can start now because the season starts in May. So you can take the course, which is on our stand store, and the link's on our website. And you can take the course at your pace and get started with your own peach business.
And I love this. It's really fascinating just to hear about the different things and how creative you can be. And for all the audience out there, be sure to give Shannon a like and follow on all of her socials. Check out her website. Check out her course. I may even check it out just to learn more and reach out to her. It's really interesting. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.